What's up, YouTube? So this video, I'm talking about Honda cold start engine rattle, and sometimes the belt tensioner could be causing this also. So what happens is, as the serpentine belt stretches over a period of time, the tensioner can only go so far before it rattles on its stop. So that can be heard on cold start, and then as soon as the belt gets some heat in it, it can be heard at idle too, typically just idling. So start it up, it rattles, and then it stops. And then when you drive it and the belt gets a little heat in it, it will start to rattle again because the belt is stretched and it's heat soaked now, and then it's constantly rattling. So it's very possible that you could have two rattles going on at the same time. You can have an internal engine rattle from the timing chain components, which could be stretched timing chain, worn out tensioner, VTC actuator. But it is not normal for your Honda to cold start and your engine rattle. And I've heard this before where people have said that this is normal on a Honda. It's normal about 60,000 miles worth of wear for this to happen. So if your engine has a rattle, especially your Honda 2.4 liters, and it is not normal, and that is messing up your timing chain. It's beating up the VTC actuator. And what a lot of people don't realize is that this is very prone about 60,000 miles. And this is all coming from not changing the oil within 3,000 if you want to keep a good, healthy engine. And 5,000, you're pressing it, with cheaper gasoline and not using super and any additives and staying on top of, strict routine maintenance. This is what you're going to get. You're going to wind up with a $1,500 or $2,000 bill to fix it right if you don't try and nip it in the bud now. But if you start the car up and you hear it rattle, and then you don't hear it rattle anymore, and then you come to an idle, it could be the serpentine belt rattling, but it also could be the timing chain so bad that it's rattling too. If your engine's burning oil, this is just a bad chemistry set. So engine rattling, you're not sure if it's timing belt or timing chain or serpentine belt tensioner. That could be two problems right there. And then if your engine's consuming oil, that's really three issues. One, not so expensive or bad, but the other two could be astronomical to repair. If your engine's burning oil, this goes for any engine. Chances are the rings are gummed up and sticking. And what happens is when they get hot, they expand and provide sealing power, and then when they get cold, right, they shrink back up a little bit, and then if there's gum in there or sludge or tar, and it sticks them, and then sometimes they don't unstick, and then sometimes they'll stick and pop, and then as the sludge and carbon builds up behind the piston ring lands, they can't retract, right? So when you go to start your engine up, what happens is they start scraping against the cylinder walls, scoring the cylinder walls and the piston rings. And then that's where you see extreme cases of oil consumption. And with today's engine oils and PCV systems and high pressure fuel injection systems, you don't see it smoke out the tailpipe until it's too late. So if you have a Honda, pay attention on cold start. Even have your husband or your wife, significant other, somebody, if you have 60,000 miles on it, it is time for you to take a listen. Open the hood, have someone start it. If you don't hear any rattling that goes away, chances are you're in good shape. Now you want to start preventive maintenancing your engine. Do some oil flushes. Have the VVT screens replaced. Maybe have the timing chain tensioner replaced just for maintenance reasons. Have the VCT maintenance inspected. There's 3 screens on a lot of these engines with variable timing controls, and some of them have multiple VVTs and cam phaser actuators. But primarily what happens is the screens get gummed up with tar, and it reduces the flow of oil, and then over a period of time it just plugs up the screens. And people who just never change their oil at all, or have oil consumption problems that they're not aware of, by the time they get in for an oil change, a 4.5 quart engine's down 1.5 quarts or more, that low oil prevents the engine from cooling and lubricating properly. So at speed, your engine's high speed blending the oil and pumping it everywhere and washing it, As it gets lower, right, there's more heat in the oil, and then therefore it breaks down faster. A lot of people don't realize that. If your engine's burning a quart every week, right, and you don't keep topping it, replenishing it with fluid, just like, when you go to the hospital, they give you IV fluids because your levels are all off. They might even give you some blood because your body can't function properly. Same thing with engine oil. Engine oil is so important that it's at its maximum all the time. If you're at idle all the time, you're still going to have some issues, but who's idling their engine? Nobody. They're in it, they fire it up, and they slam it 0 to 100 real quick everywhere they go. And these engines require special maintenance. Today's engines are high-performance engines, period. 400 horsepower, 4-cylinder turbocharged engines with, 2 fuel pumps, 8 injectors. This is all race performance technology in your little car, and it requires special maintenance that the dealerships aren't programming these consumers about. And then, sometimes, oh, well, that's normal for a car. Bullshit. It's not normal. Early generation high pressure fuel injection systems were a little noisy. Sometimes they build the engines a little loose on the valve train, which frees up horsepower. Now they're going to low tension springs, which reduce the drag on the cylinder walls, which creates more power, but it creates more blow-by. It can create some more oil consumption. It can create some more sludge and, carbon behind the valves and dirty PCV systems and throttle bodies and so on and so forth. But if you have a Honda that's rattling on cold start or even at idle, you need to have it check it out. Come see me. Thanks for watching.